Hello, everybody. How are you? Hi, gals. How are you? It's good to see you.
Hello.
Welcome, everybody, to Tuesday. It's lunchtime. It's 1 o'clock. Welcome to the Healing Through Love show. We're here to increase awareness within the community about providing family and domestic violence survivors with a soft place to land and to offer services available to these survivors and their families.
And we have businesses who pay it forward to our Pamper Days in Adelaide and in Tasmania, and we welcome them and look forward to speaking to them.
And each week on the show, what we actually do is we interview a couple of these wonderful supporters of Healing Through Love's Pamper Days to learn more about them, more about their businesses, and why they support Healing Through Love.
Fantastic. And now we've got two amazing guests today. We've got Danielle Arkit and Peter Amodio. And my beautiful colleagues are going to slide off the screen, and they're going to be running the chat and having conversations in there, and all very important parts of the process. Ali and I swap every week. First of all, I'm going to start with our very first guest, and we have Danielle Arkit. Now, she's actually going to be offering a free business consult today as her gift to all of our listeners, which is a 1-hour free business consult. So I'm very excited about that. So Danielle is a social media supermum, and she's created her online business to a 10,000K day while managing 2 kids under the age of 3 and a husband half the year with no babysitter. So that sounds absolutely fascinating. Danielle, I'd love you to tell us a little bit more about your business.
Hey, Charlene, thanks so much for having me today. I really appreciate it. Sure. So this is actually my 3rd business, and I've had a bunch of businesses before. I guess you could call me a serial entrepreneur. I started when I was like 14 years of age. At high school, I had like a friendship band business, the friendship bands. And so I decided when my children were born that I really didn't want to have to go back to the grind of the 9 to 5. So I started my own business from home. I actually had a commercial training studio, and then I got that business up and running and subsequently moved into online marketing, which was really the crucial factor in my success. So yeah, it's pretty awesome working with mumpreneurs and with women who have kids at home, or they're juggling and they're trying to get things online. And the power of online marketing is that you can get so much done in so little time because of automation. So that's why I'm a bit obsessed with it.
So most of your client base are mums, is that right?
Many of my client base are. I do work with some that aren't. So I do work with businesses that are, small businesses predominantly, but most of my clients are, in fact, mums who are managing, both the juggle.
Are most of them working from home even pre-COVID?
Yes, many of them were. My business is one of the few that's been very lucky to not be hit by COVID in a negative way, but in a positive way. So we're finding now that more people are getting online, and especially with their marketing. But this is something that for 10 years I've been telling people, you've got to get online and you've got to automate and you've got to do these things. And all of a sudden this year hit, and I was like, wow, everyone is actually having to do the things I've been suggesting to do for the last 5 to 10 years. So
that's
it's
fantastic.
Yeah.
So what would be your number one marketing? So it's marketing. Everything that you do, Danielle, is around marketing?
Everything I do is around online marketing. So I'm an online business coach specifically. Yeah.
Excellent. So what would be your number one tip in the marketing space for people in the online space?
Right. I would be focusing on leads, not likes. So focusing on knowing your numbers and knowing your metrics around marketing. So knowing if I have 100 people come in and download my freebie and get to the next level, like how many of those people are actually going to convert into a sale in the long run. So
right, yes, all about the analytics. So now tell me, do you have a favorite gadget that you like, a favorite plugin?
Yeah, I'm a bit obsessed with Kartra right now.
Okay, yep.
So that's my new tool that I've actually just migrated everything over to Kartra. So that's one of them, but also Zapier, because I feel like we can connect so much of what we're already using through those Zaps. And then probably on the daily, I use the Colorzilla plugin, which is a where you can choose different colors off websites and fonts and things like that. So
oh, beautiful. Sounds fantastic. So do you have an engine, a search engine that you prefer? So how do you get information? Do you look through Google, or do you have an?
So for me, in terms of getting information about the type of content that my clientele want, I do use Google Trends a lot. A lot of people don't know this tool, but it's just trends.google.com, so that you can go in and you can have a look at, like, for example, are people searching on the internet? Are they searching online marketing or digital marketing or social media? So this allows, they might search for dog treats or dog biscuits. Which one's the highest search? I also use another tool which helps me to write content pieces for my clients and for myself as well. And that one is, I think it's called answerthepublic.com.
I love that one. Yeah. I love that one because it's like a mind map, and I'm a mind map freak.
Yeah.
I love it because it just goes all over the place. It's fantastic. I use that for my clients. I think it's fantastic. I use it for myself as well. And I just like playing with it.
It's pretty fun. And when people, a lot of the issues that I have with customers is they're saying, I don't know what to write. I don't know what to put on my Facebook or my Instagram. Like, so what do I do with that? And, I can just say, look, we'll plug in your stuff here. And then they're like, oh, I could write an article on all of these things that people are searching for. So yeah, it's a great tool. Yeah,
it's fantastic. So do you use a strategy for them to do other people's groups?
Yes, I'm a big fan of posting in groups that are specific to your niche audience. So that is one of the strategies. But many of the strategies that I use with my clients are paid strategies, so paid Facebook or paid Instagram ads, because you get the volume over. Also, I don't really use a paid ad strategy where they go direct to a website or direct to buy, because I feel like you need to warm up your audience and nurture it quite a bit first. So I would tend to seem to advertise something that's a free offer or a checklist or a guide. Like, let's say, for example, someone's having an issue in their relationship at home, yeah? And I've advertised a free relationships guide, or 10 ways you're sabotaging your marriage guide. The only people that are going to click on that guide are people that are actually having those issues. So straight away from the outset and through the clicks, I'm determining, is this actually my ideal target market? So they're going to come in, I'm going to nurture them a bit, I'm going to talk to them about, they're going to get the guide, but I'm going to talk to them then in video series about what they could do next and what's the next steps and how else could they benefit. And then eventually we're going to push them to the sales page once they have that established connection. Like I was telling someone just on a call before, it's the know, like, trust, buy sequence.
Yes, absolutely. So true. So do you encourage your clients to have their own Facebook groups as well, or are they using other people's groups strategy?
I do like them to have their own Facebook groups, because the algorithm, the reach on Facebook groups is a lot higher than if they don't. But that strategy is not for everyone. Some people are going to get more clients on Facebook, some on Instagram, some on LinkedIn. So it really depends where their people are, where their tribe are hanging out.
Absolutely. And it's a great place to test too. So to test the market, to see if the language is working, see if the copy is working. Yes, I love it. I love it. Have you heard of search engine? Speaker engine and lift engine?
No, I haven't. I don't actually do a lot with search engine optimization, believe it or not. So I have experts that I work with who work on that side. Predominantly, I work more in the Facebook advertising space. And then I have other experts who do Google AdWords and work in the SEO space who do that side of things. But the thing I love doing the most is really taking a woman's passion and then turning that idea into an online business where she's not having to work so hard. Everything's automated and she can just come in, do her clients, and then, enjoy her life and actually give time back to children as well, because that's a big part of it too.
Well, that's the reason why they're doing it in the first place. It's very, very important.
Yeah.
So my question's around the Healing Through Love space. So have you worked with us before in Healing Through Love at one of our previous events?
I did. I haven't done too much with you guys before, but I did offer some, I think it was some promotions and coupons and things previously. And I've heard about Healing Through Love, and I'm a massive fan of any organization or business that can help to empower women. So, you know, my business that I currently run was founded off the back of the fact that I had this moment when I was in hospital with my baby, and I'm sitting in my hospital bed. She'd just been born, and here I was feeding this baby, and I'm like, you know, I'll just check the business bank account and see how things are going. And it was the first time I experienced that $10,000 day. And for me, it was not about the money at all. It was actually this moment of clarity where I was like, wow, imagine if I could bring this day to every other mother or every other woman in the world while they're sitting here, get to enjoy their child and still have that passive income coming through. And so for me, that was the whole foundation of my business and why I'm so passionate about what it is that I do, because I could not have done that without the power of online marketing and leveraging, and you leverage systems or staff, either or. But so that's, you know, that's what I'm kind of really passionate about. And I know that there's a lot of people in your audience, in your space, who are also passionate about the same thing. You know, I didn't come from a very sound background, and I actually was exposed to domestic violence in former relationships as well. And for me, I think it's the confidence that it sucks out of people is what's the most horrific in many cases. So what I really wanted to be involved in is to, you know, help empower women of, you know, from any walk of life, how they can, you know, if they have an idea or a thought or a feeling, and I know you're quite intuitive too, Charlene, with the way that you think and talk. And, you know, I do think we all have this gift inside ourselves as women where we can give so much to the world, but too often we're stopped, whether either by circumstances or by money or by people around us not believing in us or, you know, taking us for granted. And I think that we really need to bring those gifts to life. So that's really what I guess I stand for. And that's what my community stands for. And we're all about empowering and lifting each other up and supporting each other on the journey.
That's so beautiful. Could you walk us through the offer that you've made to the clients that are listening today?
Yeah, sure. So for any clients who are listening today, I'm actually offering you a free 1-hour business consultation with me to talk about your business idea. If you're just in idea phase, some of you might already have a business already, so that's great. If you're in that space, then you can definitely book in with me and we can talk about your online marketing and how we can get you more leads and more sales to your business online.
Excellent. Now, I know that lots of girls in this space still haven't opened themselves their Google ad campaign. Like they haven't even opened an account. So what can you tell them today to encourage them just to take that first step so they at least open the account, because you have to have it open before you take the next step. What could you say today to encourage them to take that first step?
Look, I would there's two things, because, you know, I've coached lots of people, and the two things that I come across all the time are imposter syndrome is one, where we just don't feel like we're kind of good enough. And then the second is like, you know, around our products and pricing. And so what I would say is that, you know, you need to just take the first step towards the goal. So let's say the goal was creating your own podcast, for example. Try not to be overwhelmed by that big picture goal. You know, that goal's kind of up here and you're like down here. So maybe the first step is not like create the podcast. Maybe the first step is research the podcast, you know, and maybe the next step is to talk to another person that's created a podcast, for example. So really taking that big step can be overwhelming. So I would just take smaller steps towards the bigger goal. That's really the best way to do it. So yeah, hopefully
That's so fantastic. I absolutely love it. And thank you for being so generous and opening your heart to our clients who are listening today with that 1-hour service. And that is completely complimentary, guys.
Yeah.
So if you're sitting on the fence and you're not quite sure what to do, even if you've just got an idea, you know, share the love with Danielle. She's been in the business a long time. She knows what she's talking about, and she can guide you through the process. So, and yes, it's been fantastic. I want to talk nerdy stuff with you at some stage down the track. Let's talk about that.
Offline. You have to do it offline.
Let's do it offline. Let's have a cup of tea and talk about nerdy.
Too much with our tech, you know.
No.
Yeah, no, it's been great to thank you so much for having me. It's been great to be here. And yeah, I just keep up the good work. You guys are doing such an awesome job, and it's all about empowering. Look, I think people in general, empowering them, but I very much have a heart for women and to empower them with confidence, and also to empower their voice, because I think I didn't find my voice for so long. And when I finally had the courage to speak out, and to be true and authentic to who I was, it's amazing how powerful that reclamation can be. So yeah, if anyone wants to book in, feel free. I'd love to.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us today.
No thanks at all.
Now, viewers, we're going to go to a very brief commercial break from our sponsors, BeLive TV through Mytimetv. So back to the commercial break, guys. Hello and welcome back, guys. That was a very brief commercial break, I know. So that's with BeLive TV. They're our sponsors through Mytimetv. So I would like to introduce our next amazing guest, and we have Peter Amodio with us today, and he's going to be talking about risk assessment and escape plans. Peter has, and Peter's a regular guest of ours, and he's our consummate professional in this space. Peter has been a life coach for the past 10 years. He has obtained his diploma in counselling about 5 years ago. Peter's previously spent 25 years as a police officer in New South Wales, and with 15 of those with a team that specialised in the DV unit. After resigning from the police force, Peter then focused on maximum security jail, and he is creating a special program to assist survivors. And today we're going to talk specifically about risk assessment and escape plans. Hello, Peter, how are you?
How is everyone? I'm well, thank you.
Fantastic. So, Peter, could you guide us through the process of how we do a risk assessment in such a fragile, sensitive state when we're going through this process? How do we even begin a risk assessment?
Yeah, well, I've got to start off with a quote, and it's failing to plan is planning to fail. So failing to plan, planning to fail. A lot of people that do escape domestic violence, survivors, have to come back because they didn't plan properly. So I'd just like to remind everyone that domestic violence is a serious crime and it's not part of a marriage or a relationship. How I came about with this, I'll just tell you a little story first about a victim and what the capabilities that the police have. Just briefly, without any details, but I went to the airport a few years ago to pick up a survivor of domestic violence from Newcastle. Her life was threatened, of her and the family, and the police had the capabilities to make this person invisible. They changed her name, they changed her license, registration of the car, the children, everything was changed to make her invisible. I had to pick her up from the airport to come to court to Newcastle and then back to South Australia. So that, you know, if any of the survivors out there think there is no systems out there to protect them, there is. That's just not available. We need to be, so my purpose today is to let everyone know that there are systems out there to protect you. So the police will pick the victim up from the airport, take her to court and take her back to the airport. She got 100% protection all the way from the airport to back home. So there is things out there available. So I used to be part of the homicide review team, and what they do, they look through their lens of prevention and accountability. So if we have a tragedy, it is investigated by a number of bodies. We've got the prosecution, the police, medical records, child protection, child support, family law, probation and parole, judges. It's just a team of people looking at the what actually happened. How can we prevent this time, and who is accountable? why did this happen? So I thought, well, what am I going to do with all this information? I created a risk assessment from the results we got from our studies. And there were a number of things that we needed to look into that were high risk. And it's a quite sophisticated document. And it's got a number of questions that we asked survivors. And then we come up with a ranking: low, high, very high, dangerous. And if they fall into the very high dangerous state, which is the red one, then we need to look at how we're going to protect this victim. And preparation is quite extensive because you've got to look at, if you have children, what are we going to do with the children? What do the family orders say? We don't want to be charged with kidnapping or anything like that, so we need to look into it. So what some of the things that we look at, I'll just read out a couple from my list. So we need to find a safe place. It's the first thing that we look for.
And is this all part of the risk assessment, Peter? Is that what you're talking about? Or is this part of the escape plan, or is it all the same thing?
Yeah, we do a risk assessment first, and according to the readings, the result, then we go into the plan. It's a bit hard to go through the risk assessment here because it's comprehensive, and it's entered up onto a computer, and it works it out for you automatically. What you fall. Part of the risk assessment, some of the things we got, if the offender suffers from depression, threats to kill or suicide, prior history of domestic violence, is the victim pregnant, is the perpetrator been charged with serious offences, that all those things go into the risk assessment. There's probably I'm just counting here, there's probably about 50 different questions to the survivor to come up with that reading. So it is complicated. I mean, the main thing for the survivors to realise that if they feel they're in danger, they need to go to the police, report the violence, and see if the police will do a risk assessment, because they do have the capabilities of doing it. And there are crime prevention officers in the police that come over and give you advice on how safe you are in your house. In New South Wales, we have these crime prevention officers, and they're approachable. You can actually make an appointment with them and come into the police station and tell them your situation, and they might come over to your house and have a look and see what we need to do.
Yeah, and I know some of you guys are listening to this, and you may be in a space right now where you're at risk. And you're hearing what Peter's saying, and you're going, yes, it's fine for you to say that, Peter. I can't leave the house. Or it's fine for you to say that, Peter, but if I can't bring police officers back to my house, the neighbours will tell and he'll know, and that will end badly for me. I understand how you feel. I've been there too. I just have to say, though, you do need to reach out. You need to let somebody know what the situation is, because we won't know unless you have the conversation. So, they're there. They've got all the ducks in a line. They know what they're doing, and they've been doing it for a really long time, and they've saved many people. So you need to take the first step. And even though this might sound all very scary, you need to do your own risk assessment. Are you putting yourself and your children at risk by staying? Ultimately it's going to be the right thing to change your environment. So, and reach out and get assistance. Yeah. And, if you don't have the capacity to create your own escape plan, then talk to someone who has done it before. We've got a community of women here who have escaped, and they can point you in the right direction, and you can have those gentle conversations, and we'll make sure that you're speaking to the right people. Yeah. But, Peter, that's fantastic. What would you say is the number one thing that we can tell people that are currently at risk? And you've obviously seen the stats right now. It's out of control between suicide and what's happening in domestic violence and family violence right now. There isn't a day that doesn't go by that we don't get a phone call. So, what would you say is your key piece of advice in this space?
I think we need to prepare for the worst. we need to think, okay, if something does happen and we have to take off, we need to be ready. Things might not be too bad today. It might change tomorrow. But today we need to start preparing. Open a bank account with your money in. Have a spare set of keys for the car. Have a safe place to go if you have to. Talk to your neighbours. Talk to your friends, your family. Let the police know you're in danger. Let someone know that you trust that you might have to make a quick getaway. Have a spare mobile phone, or it just depends what the perpetrator, how that you're being controlled. So you know your own situation. There is so much you can do for yourself. You don't have to rely on anyone. You can really get prepared for this situation. If the day comes, you can just grab your bag, hop in your car, and off you go. You can't plan that at the last minute. It's too dangerous. The anxiety and the depression and the stress of thinking that might happen, if you're prepared, it reduces all that. But you need to make, like we said before, your first step, just a little step each day. It'll make you feel so much more confident if you just were a little bit prepared for the day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And if you're worried about, the history on your browser, if you're doing some research to try and get ready to escape, and you're worried about, your history on your search with Google on your phone as well, can I say you can go to a library and do research, and, they can't have access there. So there's other ways to get around it if you're worried about your browser history and him finding out what you've been up to and what you've been looking for. So there are ways around it, and it's just as simple as asking somebody who's been through the same situation and reaching out and speaking to the police. Peter, thank you so much. It's so great to have someone in the space that has the level of expertise as you do. And so, what's the very first step, would you say? Would you say it's calling the police is the first step?
Yeah, every case is individuals. I know that the most dangerous time it is when you're trying to leave. And the victim knows, the survivor knows, we don't have to tell them, they know when it's safe to go. But if anybody wants to, any more advice into this field, if they need to know about how can they prepare the plan, or want to check what level of danger they're in, they can contact me and I'll be able to go through a risk assessment. We go through it all, and then we'll do the escape plan for them. And so I'm happy to answer anyone that wants got any questions for me.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Peter. So viewing an incognito browser option. Thank you, Rose. You're so beautiful. Thank you so much for being part of our community and watching here. I've been totally missing the chat, Peter. I've been so involved in what you've been saying. So thank you so much for your quality time, and we really appreciate having you here. And we look forward to having you back sometime soon to talk about another subject in the area of family and domestic violence. So thank you, Peter. I really appreciate you being here.
Stay safe and take care.
Thank you so much, Peter. Okay, so thank you, Peter, so much. Thanks, guys, for another lunchtime special of Healing Through Love. We are still looking for more people who want to step up and make a difference in this space. If you run a business and you can offer something of being of service, whether it be a hand massage, neck and shoulder massage, makeup, skincare, it could be a chakra aligning, tarot reading, it could be anything that you can physically do to make a difference. It could be even prayer. If you can make a difference for someone who is a survivor going through family and domestic violence, our next Pamper Day is the 19th of September, and we're looking for other exhibitors. If you, in this case, or you know someone who is in a situation where they are at risk and they need to get out, or if there's someone who's come out the other side and they just want to celebrate the fact that they've come out the other side, we would invite them to be our special guest, all free, to our next Healing Through Love, which is on the 19th of September. So I'd like to thank our hosts today. It's been so fantastic. Thanks, Ali. Thanks, Rose. And thanks, Danielle. And thanks, Peter, our two beautiful guests. If you would like to be involved, make sure you reach out through Healing Through Love as either an exhibitor or a volunteer, because we're still looking for volunteers. And you can find us at Healing Through Love SA. That's our Facebook page. And you can email us on HTL, that's Healing Through Love, htladelaide@gmail.com. Be sure and join us again at 1 o'clock next week. Take care. See you then. Bye for now.